This is Riding with Ree, and today we are at the incredible Nodwood House Equine in Surrey. Nodwood House was created from literally nothing last year by founders Katie and Anthony Powell, and today I have the pleasure of taking you on a tour of this state-of-the-art rehab facility and sitting down with founder Katie to hear how she moved from her non-horsey career in the city to setting up Nodwood House and truly living the equestrian dream that we all have. Let's have a look inside and meet Katie. Thank you so much for having me. It's a beautiful Nodwood House. It is a lovely day and I'm so happy to be back.
We're thrilled that you're here. Thank you very much for coming to see us.
How long ago was it that you actually built Nodwood?
So we started building it March last year. The diggers arrived literally of the day of lockdown.
Wow.
So 23rd of March last year, and the diggers arrived and we were very uncertain as to how much we could do, but fortunately as we were outdoors we were able to carry on with the dig. So we are standing reverse back a year and this would have been a field.
Wow.
And then we completed the build with an amazing team in October of last year, and then we opened the business. And now we have a full yard with amazing clients and wonderful horses.
It's incredible to have got this all done in a year.
In a year.
I feel like we're meeting Grand Design's kind of styles levels of working. It's incredible. I'm very excited to have a look around. Before we do look around, I'd love to hear what was the vision for Nodwood and what do you actually do here?
So we are a rehabilitation and full competition livery yard. We are relatively small in numbers because I think you can then really tailor the care to the individual horse. Rehab horses by their very nature take up a lot of time. I think it's really important that we're accessible to all disciplines.
Yes.
And I have a deep passion for all of them.
Yeah, and I can see that, and I feel that when I speak to you. I know we talk about a lot of the people who follow my channel are just normal everyday riders who have aspirations of something bigger and bolder one day, and I see that kind of feel in you when you come here. It feels very accessible, and although the standard is incredibly high, you do feel like you could bring your normal horse and have
Absolutely.
a lovely spa day and not feel like you're out of place.
Absolutely, and we cater and deal with horses across the board, from your fluffy pony through to your Grand Prix dressage horse.
I love that. So Katie, we are stood in what I have to say is quite an incredible indoor arena. This whole yard tour is making me feel very jealous, but this space in particular has, hard to get across on video, but a very special feel. And I know that you've put a lot of work into making it feel that way. So I'd love to hear about the setup of this space and how you use it.
Thank you. Yes, it is rather special. It's very tranquil, but at the same time, it just gives us everything we need. So first of all, it's a 40 by 20, but it feels and rides bigger than that.
It does feel bigger, actually.
I think it's because we've got really good height ceiling, we've got incredible lighting in here, we've got a music system, not that that's going to change how we ride, but it's just, there are all the bells and whistles. We've got cameras.
The tools you need.
Yeah, we've got cameras to film people ride, we've got mirrors in here. It's the practicality of this space. We use it for in-hand work with horses. The first time we're bringing them back into work, and we need that safe environment for the horses to work in. We free school in here, we loose jump in here. Obviously we do flat work and we do jump training. It's on an Andrews Bowen lightly waxed surface, which is suitable for all disciplines. It's just a stunning place to work in, and the views are exceptional. We can see right into our outdoor 60 by 40. I've designed the mezzanine area, along with, I should say very importantly, my husband and business partner, because he'd be very disappointed to hear that he wasn't included in that. Together, and it has been a team effort. Yeah. It has to be. You can't magic these things up. So the mezzanine is organised that we've got a viewing gallery which we can open and close the sliding windows, so people can rather be involved in your training session or not, as the case may be. We've got a couple of offices, one for our clients to take conference calls in private, an area for our physios to work on the human side of it. We have a yoga studio or Pilates area, because it's as much about the rider as it is about the horse when it comes to the sort of health and well-being of, it's a partnership at the end of the day. And then we have another office which I purposely designed that sits right on the centre line, so I can coach from there on the headset. It's also amazing to analyse the horses from a different level.
Yeah.
You can actually pick up quite a bit from viewing them from different angles.
You can definitely see how this would be someone's little like hideaway to come and train, because although it's very open at the moment and the doors are open, you did mention that actually you can close everything off, and because the yard is designed to feel a little bit smaller and calmer, you can see how it would be quite appealing to a professional to come and train here and do it quietly.
We do. We have a lot of the top professionals coming in very discreetly. They may come and ride several of their horses in one go, and then they will disappear off, and that's fantastic. And we're able to share our space with all level of rider in a really lovely, tranquil way. It's like being at a competition without the stress.
Yes.
I really enjoy the fact that we share it with others, and you could do this in a very different model, and that's not what I wanted to do. It's exclusive but accessible.
I mean, I really do think you've hit the nail on the head with that. I can imagine coming here with Woody and being in this space, I think would make me sit up a little taller and want to ride my best, but I don't think I would be looking over my shoulder or tensing up and being like, oh God, this place is incredible and I shouldn't be here. You know, it doesn't have that vibe at all.
No, I never wanted it to. That's
incredible balance to strike.
Yeah, thank you. Let's say the horse is now hot and sweaty.
Yeah.
We then want to strip it of its tack. So I've designed it that we've got our tack room on our left and our rug room on the right, and we do all of the laundry and all the organisation of all of that. So we've worked the horse, we've stripped the kit off, it's gone away in the rug room or laundry room, and then we're able then to take us into a beautiful tack room.
Oh my goodness.
So here we are in the tack room.
Beautiful.
We've made this very sort of user-friendly. You know, I think you've got to be practical. You know, I want to put my boots on to ride, I want my helmet, I want my own kit for my horse. So every stable has its own basket. And then we have obviously decent saddle pegs. What I mean by that is that we've got a range of saddles in here. We have event saddles, we have dressage saddles, we've got GPs, we've got jumps. And we need to make sure that when it's sitting on the saddle tree that we're not changing the shape of it. So we've gone for the oak fittings here. We clean all of our liveries tack on a daily basis. We are quite meticulous about that too. But this is a functional space. I purposely designed it that we have a dry area and we have a wet area. So we can use the dry area for clipping, plaiting, physio sessions, saddlery sessions. We also have another treatment room. But I wanted a big space where I can fit 2 decent sized horses in there if I need to. And it's nice to keep that area dry. And then this area wet as such. So the horse will come in here. We have solarium lights which we use pre and post workout. This is also an air conditioning system.
I've never heard of a solarium that also does the kind of summer variation.
Yes.
I've only ever seen the hot lights, so that was actually very interesting. And there's sort of a piece de resistance out here, which I was very interested in the first time we spoke. So talk to me a little bit about this space.
Yes, so let me show you.
This is quite an unusual space. I've never seen one of these before, so tell me a little bit about what we have here.
So this is an equestrian grade sandpit.
Wow.
And what we use it for is a horse, it's been worked, it's hot and sweaty, we bring it out here, we do its stretches out here, we give it some water, we just let it calm down after it's been ridden and just have a little think about what it's been doing for the previous 30-40 minutes. We've used equestrian grade sand beneath because obviously normal sand would be too coarse and cause issues, but obviously we can see behind us the corrals that all the horses here at Nodwood are lucky to have.
I know so many of my friends, I think we almost know someone who's had to have a horse on box rest for a period of time, and it's quite heartbreaking, I think, as an owner to have your horse stuck in this little space and knowing that you have to keep them there. So this feels like a sort of mini garden for them, which is really lovely. So how does this work, and how did the design come about?
So the whole idea of the corrals is to allow horses to ultimately have that in-out option. The horses on box rest can find it very, very stressful, but at the same time we need to restrict their movement. So when horses are on box rest with us, they rather have the opportunity to have their stable, which are huge, and we'll show you in a minute, or their corral.
Yeah.
And we're actually doing a really interesting study with one of the leading equine universities about how much time they spend in and out of their corrals. I'm fascinated about how much time they do spend out here. I genuinely believe you cannot do rehab without having some sort of setup like this.
And I know you touched on it briefly there, the fact that you've really thought about every stage of rehab, from the initial box rest where you really do have to be in the stable, which as you said are big enough and lovely, and then moving on to stable and corral, and then I think you mentioned that actually these corrals can open up as well,
right.
so you can have like double space
before
you move on to a small turnout. Like, it's just very
That's
well
exactly
designed.
right. and importantly, it's all close to the all close to the yard. So we do exactly as you said: stable and corral, 2 corrals, and then small turnouts. Brilliant. So why don't I now show you our lovely big stables and how we've designed those?
Please lead the way.
We've got a lovely big open barn where you're able to lead a horse down, and if someone needs to get by with another horse. So many are narrow, and it's really important we have this sort of sense of space. So predominantly this end are sort of private livery horses, and then the other end is sort of set up more for our rehab horses. So here would be a sort of typical box. We can have the weave bars in or out. We put them in for biosecurity purposes, so when a horse first arrives we're able to pop them up. These are 14 by 14 and the corrals are 14 by 16, and they are a lovely comfortable space.
I wouldn't mind living in here.
They're pretty nice. We've had them designed that we've got 4 stables, so these 4 in the middle of the barn have a chatting grill. So some horses do like to have that social interaction, so we're able to accommodate that, and the rest are all solid partitions. So that's quite an important design aspect when you're designing stables, that you're able to accommodate both, because some horses really don't like it, and other horses need that sort of environment. I've purposely not gone for automatic waters. The main reason for that is I need to be able to monitor what they're drinking. So we're able to then make sure they are hydrated, which is essential to avoid compassion colic. Now then there's a practical aspect of carrying water buckets down the yard. Hopefully I've solved that by putting taps outside every pair of stables. And we just have a little hose that we can poke through the bars, fill the buckets up. I'm not a big fan of hay nets. I know they've been used for years, but if we had a choice, my choice would be to use a hay bar. So you're promoting them to have their neck down, and they're feeding in a very neutral and natural position. And then obviously they have access to their own private terrace, of which they can sometimes have breakfast out there. It's a bit like being in a 5-star hotel.
It really is. Love it. Beautiful. Biosecurity, unsurprisingly, is a really hot topic at the moment with the coronavirus and with the really unfortunate outbreak that happened in Spain with the show jumping team. So it is no surprise to me that, of course, you've been thinking about this from day one, but tell me a little bit about the biosecurity measures you have here.
This side that we're standing on is predominantly private and livery horses, and then behind these doors would be predominantly rehabilitation horses.
So smart.
So I am able to a degree to separate the two. We've got the benefits of being in an American bar that we all love: the airiness, the space, the social aspect. But how do you get around your biosecurity aspects? And that was the conclusion I reached. I needed to be able to have some form of separation.
So you've just walked down through your lovely American barn. Tell me a little bit about the space that we're stood in now.
Got a really fantastic area here. It's purposely built to be big, in the sense that you need space to be able to get round these big pieces of kit. They're all key and all have an essential part to play in the prevention, rehabilitation and the general well-being of the horses we have here. So behind us here we have something called a combi floor. This works on a pulse electromagnetic and vibration basis. And the idea of this is it pumps the blood around the body of the horse, so it aids its circulation and ultimately helps heal injuries. I would like to see much more scientific research go into it. There is a lot of backing to it. I'm really intrigued in doing some more studies on this.
Watch this space. You're constantly trying to push the boundaries of things, which is awesome.
And that's a really important part of what we do here. I don't think you ever stand still. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, there's always constant changes, and that's a good thing. We need to embrace technology more in the equine industry.
Talk to me a little bit about this piece here, because this is something we don't see very often.
This is the dry treadmill. Ours also goes on an incline to 15 degrees, so it gives a proper workout, be that horses coming back into work or horses that are sort of need to be kept in top peak fitness. We've gone to great lengths to sink ours into a pit. We actually had to cast the concrete for it to sit into.
So typically would they sit much higher?
Much higher, and can have ramps on and off. And for us, with the type of work we're doing here, that didn't make any sense to have this huge piece of kit elevated above the ground. So we use this sometimes 4 times a day for a particular horse, because they may be coming back from an injury or they're coming back into work, where you don't want the weight of the rider, you don't want them going round and round on a circle, but you need to be working them.
Yeah.
So this would be our first port of call, after you've done the hand walking.
Now I think some of the people watching might have seen this in a water treadmill format, and I know there's a specific reason you didn't want to go down the water treadmill route, so I'd love to hear a bit more about that.
Yes, absolutely. I get asked that question often. The water works very well for the fitter horse, and I would only ever really be happy with it sort of fetlock deep and below. I know some analysis is going on in that area, and I'd be really interested to see what the study shows about the forces that go through their hind limbs. With us, by putting the horses on this, because we're substituting in a way for straight line work that we're doing very often, it made sense to remove the water. And then just off to the other side, there we've got the salt and oxygen chamber.
This room is another one that I've personally never seen in the equestrian industry. I think the closest I could sort of compare it to in the human world would be a steam room. So tell me a little bit about the salt and oxygen chamber you have here.
So this is an incredible piece of technology, and actually used a lot in other countries. It's used for several reasons: respiratory conditions, skin disorders, and enhancing performance and aiding recovery. We've also got a lighting system. Green is to aid lung function, and blue is calming.
Amazing.
Hello, missus. So here she is.
Wow. Loving your little spa treatment. Incredible.
Nice, isn't it?
Yeah. And how long would you...
Stand in it. It's
Yeah.
really nice. 30 minutes, 45 minutes. You can't OD on it.
Yeah.
It's a bit like us going to the seaside and breathing in the salt air. It's a very similar concept.
So it looks like we're in this sort of final room of the rehab area of the yard. So what are we standing in right now?
So this is our vet treatment room. Obviously it's not just for vets. Our lovely saddlers and physios and farriers will work out of this room too, and if we have visiting vets coming, they could perform sort of small standing surgeries in here. So it does have multi-uses. And behind us is the cold water spa. So that's the hydrotherapy, which is often recommended by vets. It can be delivered in a huge dry treadmill sort of sized machine where you put the whole horse in. Not all horses will accept that. And if you are trying to have horses recover from maybe an open wound or a flesh wound or a ligament issue, to put the whole horse in where they could get stressed about it was not the route I wanted to take. But I still wanted to deliver the same hydrotherapy. So earlier we were talking about biosecurity and how importantly we take it here. And I mentioned a piece of kit called the Hurricane. We put our special disinfectant, and what we're able to do with that is literally spray, and the whole room and anything that's come in contact with that mist, which we'd spray across the whole room, is disinfected. It's human safe and horse safe, and it will kill everything. So we can take you outside. We have an amazing outdoor area where we assess the horses, and I'll show you a little bit more about it.
Please.
So we have a stock here, should we need it for any of the horses. I mean, stocks aren't used very regularly, but it's just good to have one on site. We were going to put it in the vet treatment room, but it takes up so much space, so I decided to put it out here so it's covered.
Yeah.
It's accessible, but it's not taking up loads and loads of room.
Yeah, it's a brilliant little space. And you mentioned as well a separate entrance actually for the sort of day.
Yes. So they would come in through this gate. This opens up.
Oh, brilliant.
So a horse that's visiting us, they can come in through we wouldn't have a horse out in this corral and then go straight into the stable. So instead of coming onto the main yard, through and then leading past our sort of permanent horses, we're able to assess the horse in here, so it doesn't actually come onto the yard at all. This fencing, while we're here, is absolutely brilliant. I've been asked a lot where we got this from, and it's come across from the States, and they also have it a lot in Sweden, but it's quite common out in the US. They're not so easy to get hold of here, but I needed something high, something practical, and we can run an electric cable through it. So this is very sort of, I won't touch it, but this is a little electric cable, and we can electrify the corrals, which sounds a bit dramatic, but we all know horses will chew anything. It's just brilliant. I love this fencing. Got this huge, great big, safe environment. We've got gates that are closed, and then we've got a straight run to see a decent trot up. We can also see them on a hard circle, a soft circle in the lunge, so we're able to analyse them on different surfaces. And if necessary, we've got a little bit of incline where actually if we needed to back down an incline, we could see that too.
Brilliant.
So that was the premise from how this was designed. And then the horse walker, love them or loathe them. They are a useful piece of kit. I'm very clear about how long we use them for. They have their place for sure, but leaving a horse on there for a long period of time, in my opinion, doesn't have its place. The oval ones that are now on the market are fantastic because the horse has a certain element of straight line before it then has to turn. But we just didn't have the space to sort of pop one of those in. So they're brilliant, they have their place, but they need to be used, not overused. And then obviously we have our lunge pen, which is huge. We use this for all of our horses, youngsters all the way through to horses that are in sort of obviously regular training. And importantly, we put it on the same surface as our indoor and our outdoor. So from our horses' perspective, the resident horses, they have consistency in surface.
So we heard a little bit earlier about the incredible view from the indoor school to the outdoor school, and it certainly hasn't disappointed. Just look at that.
Yeah, so here we are, we're overlooking the 60 by 40 outdoor arena, which is, it's breathtaking. I purposely haven't got great big fences around it, and if you come and ride here, you're going to have to ride. And it is it's a slight challenge for the horses, but nothing that you wouldn't be faced with at a competition.
It's like you said, it's that good competition feel without the kind of pressure of actually being in a competition environment.
And then we've got a decent sized lorry park here, designed with a sort of an in-out, and importantly we put a loo out here because how often do you get to a venue and the first thing you want to do is find where the toilet is.
So true.
Anyway, here we are inside the arena. It rides beautifully, really, really beautifully. And we have a full set of Grand Prix show jumps out here, which are up to 155, 160. And like I said earlier, we have your top level riders coming in here, all the way through to people hopping around a little course like this.
Wow.
And it's important that we're able to cater across the board. Let me show you the view.
It does sort of feel like it's floating, which sounds really dramatic, but it's lovely.
We've likened it to an infinity swimming pool.
Yes!
So we call it the Infinity Arena.
Just
beautiful. For a week, a month, we turn this into a big 60 by 20 for a long test. The boards come out, the flowers come out, and the dressage riders can come and have a play.
And there we are. There's that view.
There's that view. And then that is a stunning view from here back to the indoor.
Well, Katie, thank you so much for spending your day with me. I am completely blown away by what you've created here. I feel like I've learned so much about rehabbing, and I think if I ever, touch wood, I never will, but if Woody and I ever end up in a situation where we might need something like this, I think any owner would feel so happy to have their horse here. I know you've got a lot of exciting things coming up this year once COVID is lifted and people are able to come and visit, so I will put everything that you can follow Nodwood House on social media. I know you're very active on Instagram, Facebook, all sorts, so I'll put those in the description for people to come and see, but hopefully we'll have more and more people coming to visit in the coming years.
Thank you, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
I think you're fantastic, and I love watching your progress, and it's inspiring, and I think we are a community, and it's really important that we all work together, and we work in a very sort of kind and considered way, where the horse is at the very centre of everything we do, and I'm deeply passionate about that. The world's our oyster, really.
Absolutely.
And equally, I'm very happy for ideas to come in on what people would like to see, and perhaps we can do some other things we haven't yet thought about. Sharing ideas is really important.
Yeah, so if you have any ideas or there are things you would love to see here at Nodwood House, the comment section below, I'll certainly be keeping an eye on it as always, and we can pass those on to Katie. And of course, if you are a normal rider, if you're a professional rider, you can hire Nodwood House's incredible arenas here. They are based in the Surrey Hills. The address is of course on social media, so if you are in this area, you can hire these places as well. See you later. Thank you for having me. What a way to end. This really is the epitome of Nodwood House. You've got Katie here on her show jumper, Katie's daughter here on her pony, and a Grand Prix dressage rider, all going out for a hack together. And if that isn't the epitome of the Nodwood House spirit, I don't know what is. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you did, do give it a thumbs up, leave me any questions or comments below, and I'll see you next week. Goodbye.